Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to winter. We're really happy to be here. Before I get started, I'd like to acknowledge some of our board members that are in attendance today from our Board of Governors, Foundation Board, and our Alumni Board. So as always, thank you for your support and being here today to lend a hand. As always, the college takes our role seriously in our community and in the province to respond to industry's labor market demands. So today we're really pleased to give you a bit of an update on what we're doing in our latest efforts to help to respond to the labor market needs, not just in Brandon, but the entire province. As you know, healthcare is top of mind for just about everybody. And you can't turn on the TV, read a newspaper, or see social media without seeing something related to healthcare. Our commitment at the college has been well known over many decades, training LPNs across the province. But today, we're excited to discuss some of our newest efforts. And with that, I'm going to ask my colleague, Michelle Sykes, Chair of the Allied Health Programs here at the college, to talk about two new programs that will be operating in 2027, the Medical Laboratory Technology Program and the Combined Laboratory and X-ray Technology Program. Michelle.
Disappearing behind the podium for a few reasons. There's a lot of people in the room. I am not that tall. And also, I am the chairperson of Allied Health, but I am also a fully licensed MLT. And I work at a college medical laboratory technologist, and I work at a college where the philosophy is learn by doing. So just give me 1 second. Sorry to cover my Peter School of Business sweater. Safety first. Okay. You're hiding behind the graphics here. You're supposed to help me out. I need something in here. And maybe a little piece of you in here, too. Just kidding. We won't be performing any phlebotomy on the stage today, especially right before lunch. And we definitely won't test your cholesterol so close to lunch. You're welcome. Derek and I are together on this stage, practitioner and patient. We're in close proximity to one another, but that's not the case for a lot of Manitobans. There's distance. There's distance between the training programs in our communities, and there's distance between diagnostic services and patients in rural Manitoba. Assiniboine College is listening. We hear what our community partners are saying. You need members of the healthcare team closer to you, and you need them now. To meet this need, we're undergoing significant transformations, new programs, new spaces, and new partnerships. We are transforming a space at Victoria Ave East Campus that previously housed heavy-duty equipment into a state-of-the-art healthcare education facility. As you can imagine, this is not an easy lift. Machine engines to human engines. Taking this open footprint and making it into new laboratories, new X-ray suites, classrooms, all set to welcome students in September of 2027. These programs are comprised of three didactic terms, a 5-week intensive authentic simulation, and multiple months of clinical placements across diagnostic facilities in Manitoba. We are preparing these learners to provide excellence in patient care. And there's clearly a lot of care in Manitoba because our interest list is at 650 people and growing. That's incredible. In the medical laboratory technology program, students will learn how to identify disease-causing bacteria, and of course, how to kill it, distinguish blood cells that indicate leukemias, use complex laboratory analyzers to test microliters of plasma to determine if pathologies are present or if treatment is working. In the combined laboratory and X-ray technology program, students learn and practice how to be dual professionals in both laboratory and X-ray services, testing samples for proteins that indicate if a heart attack has occurred, imaging an arm to see if there's a break, using crucial diagnostics to support others in healthcare, like doctors and nurses. I have to keep moving my urine cup. I'm sure that's distracting. A commonly accepted statistic in industry is 70 to 80% of medical decisions are based on laboratory results. 70 to 80. That's a significant number. Medical decisions based on evidence provided by laboratory and imaging results. If you don't have the team to provide these diagnostic services, then we limit the speed and ability to provide excellence in care that all individuals deserve access to, regardless of your location in Manitoba. We are offering more options other than Winnipeg or across provincial borders for training. We are increasing the capacity for care, right care. Thank you.
I'm going to announce our speaker. So Mark Frison is president of Assiniboine College, and this is something I'd learned just today. He is Canada's longest serving university or college president, with more than 15 years at Assiniboine and prior leadership roles in Saskatchewan. So that's pretty amazing. He will be bringing his deep experience in strategic leadership and workforce development for us to hear. A committed community leader, he serves as chair of the Grow Brand and Steering Committee, and he will be sharing insights on youth retention and aligning education with labor market needs. Please join me in welcoming Mark Frison.
First things first, I realize that I am competing with the gold medal game. And I know if I was in your shoes, I'd have my phone in my lap and be watching. So I have, if you choose to do that, will not hold it against you at all. I understand completely. And having said that, if Canada scores and you feel the need to shout it out, feel free to interrupt. And further, unlike the chamber usual one clap rule, we can have multiple claps. I mean, if Wayne Balkin can get one clap, a women's gold medal goal can get a lot of claps. If you cheer and let us know the American scored, some of our athletes might be here and they might escort you out. This might be the most intimidated I've ever been in giving an address to a Chamber of Commerce. And one of the reasons is some of my biggest critics are in the room. My son Cole is here. He's a student in religious studies with minors in anthropology and public history at BU, so he's here for the Connect Ed event. My daughter Piper recently switched from BU because she wanted to take business, so she came to the Peter School, so she's here with the Peter School. And my wife Edith, who you might know, did I say Piper's my wife? No, daughter, good. That'll tell you how nervous I am. My wife Edith, who you might know, is on one hand a tax accountant, but on the other hand, fun. Like, she's here, and so obviously, you know, that combination is pretty rare. And also, Brandon's biggest critic, Carrie Oriot's here. He's like, you know, if you're familiar with the Muppets, Waldorf and Statler, Brandon can only afford one, so he's it. The topic I was asked to address was youth education and industry. And so for colleges, industry and education are hardwired. And when it comes to youth, while our average age vacillates between 26 and 28, most of the folks who take full-time programs at the institution are youth. So it gives a pretty broad swath of what we can talk about. So it was hard in doing this to resist having an Olympic theme. So let's start there. Does anybody know what the Olympic motto is? Say it. Faster, higher, stronger. This is what you'll often hear as the Olympic motto. The actual Olympic motto is faster, higher, stronger, together. The together is an important piece, and we'll come back to it a bunch of times throughout the speech. But it is a good way, those four things are a good way to think about, well, what do we need from higher education in the current environment? Faster. We definitely need institutions to move faster at adjusting to the labor market and getting programs mounted for what the labor market not only requires today, but tomorrow. We need our partners in government to move faster when approving projects or when even demanding that institutions like ours adjust to changes in the labor market. You know, for example, we have proposals sitting in front of government for more than a year that require no money, that we're just waiting for decisions on, that are causing us delays in terms of serving the labor market. Over the past 3 decades, there have been far too many times when we've been a day late and a dollar short when doing what was required. Higher. Continuous improvement needs to be part of the equation, and institutions like ours need not fear the harsh reality of performance metrics. Assiniboine was one of the first institutions in the country to adopt a balanced scorecard. We're firmly committed to graduate follow-up. And in our last strategic plan, we adopted the UN sustainability goals as a lens for our performance. Stronger. Modern colleges have more tools in the kit bag than they did 30 years ago. There's no one-size-fits-all. This means offering everything from a tailored 3-hour class to a master's degree. The goal need not be having programs. The goal is to have programs that deliver the competencies required, not to force-fit everything into a preset box that somebody decides is the only way to offer them. A recent study of graduates from degree programs in Ontario colleges shows that they actually have stronger outcomes when it comes to both earnings and loan repayment than students from those same Ontario institutions and universities from the same programs. In the modern world, the biggest difference between colleges and universities is governance and not necessarily the education being offered. Together. In Manitoba, there's no more important public policy issue than bridging the prosperity gap between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. Money is not the biggest barrier to higher education in Manitoba, geography is. And I'm incredibly proud that Assiniboine has worked hard to partner with others to reduce the barriers created by geography. We now offer full-time programs in 25 communities across the province every year, and we're aiming to offer them in 30 communities by 2030. This has been achieved in large measure by building relationship with Indigenous governments and organizations. 2 years ago, Assiniboine was recognized by the World Federation of Colleges and Polytechnics as a global leader in that area. The result, in 24-25, we had 338 Indigenous graduates. That's more Indigenous graduates than some institutions in the province had total graduates, and more Indigenous graduates than some institutions that are 4 times our size in the province. Typically, between 18 and 23% of Assiniboine students identify as Indigenous, and that's the highest rate in the province beyond the University College of the North. There's more work to do, but we've established a goal of having 2,500 Indigenous graduates by 2030. Colleges are creatures of public policy. We're supported by the public purse, and so we have an obligation to both respond to what we are seeing in society and anticipate where the economy and labor markets might be headed. These challenges are like navigating moguls on a ski hill. They include the shifting trade patterns due to the actions of the United States, a softening of labor markets, which particularly affects youth, a sea change in Canada's approach to immigration, both great enthusiasm and great panic about machine learning and artificial intelligence, and a less safe and secure planet. Closer to home in Manitoba, we have a commitment to reconciliation, a significant provincial focus on healthcare, a desire to be a have province by 2040, and a need for Brandon to grow and take its rightful place as a vibrant mid-sized city on the prairies. In navigating this situation, we should be mindful of the Prime Minister's call to action in Davos, where he reminded us that building the domestic economy should be every government's immediate priority. That is to say, in today's ruptured world, economic development is the work of patriots. So Curtis, for you in the chamber, thank you for your service. In this fight, we must think global, but act local. This is how all of us contribute to the larger effort. Not fancy statements of condemnation, but rolling up our sleeves, getting to work, and building a stronger economy. When we think about the issues associated with youth, education, and industry, we can think of them like individual sports at the Olympics as well. Labor market alignment. In the past 5 years, Assiniboine's completed formal reviews of more than 25 programs, and 84% of those have resulted in significant changes. In addition, 30 new programs have been introduced. In programs with severe labor market shortages, like early childhood education and comprehensive health care aid, we'd offer programs in new ways, shorten the time to labor market entry, reduce costs for learners, and work with employers to still deliver all of the competencies they need by learning on the job. Our Prairie Innovation Center looks at critical programs in chemical technology and food processing technology, things that align with the key growth areas of the Brandon economy. And fortunately, we were able to fast-track mechatronics engineering technology to start this year without having to wait for the building to be built. But that Prairie Innovation Center concept, that was from 2017. And so that's almost a decade ago. And so you can see what I mean when I say there's a risk of being a day late and a dollar short. Fortunately, many of you in the audience helped us along the way, making it the largest fundraising project in Western Manitoba history. Your generosity brought the province to the table, and now it's time for the Government of Canada to step up and do their part. More healthcare workers. Nursing is Assiniboine's largest single program. When I first moved to Manitoba 16 years ago, I heard from our Council on Post-Secondary Education that we had too many nurses. Too many nurses. Yet every meeting I went to with the health region, I'd hear one thing from them: Mark, we need more nurses. Show of hands, who believes we actually had too many nurses? Not a one, right. Luckily, politicians in that government didn't buy into that idea either, and the only new program funding that we received between 2010 and 2014 was actually for a nursing program in Dauphin. And in 2021, when the government had a call for proposals to add 400 new nursing seats, we stepped up. We added 3 25-seat rural rotating programs, 35 more seats in Southport, 35 more seats in Winnipeg, and we're waiting the final 35 to complete the package. As a result, we now have nursing programs in Brandon, Winnipeg, Southport, Dauphin, Morden, Steinbeck, Beausejour, Otterburn, Neepawa, Verdun, Saugeen, and Nelson House. And in the election, Premier Canoe also committed to Assiniboine adding a Bachelor of Nursing degree that allows practical nurses to bridge to registered nurses. The program will be delivered in a way where the nurse never needs to leave their community, nor their job. So we're not going to exacerbate the nursing shortage while we help train them for a higher level profession. This is also going to help reduce the province's reliance on agency nurses. You heard earlier about the exciting developments in med lab tech and x-ray tech. And, again, that conversation started in 2020. So back to faster in the motto. But luckily, the current government has shown great enthusiasm for that program, and now they're pushing us to go faster because of the great needs out there. Rural Manitoba also needs more paramedics and emergency responders for a sustainable healthcare system. Traditionally, this has been the work of Red River College and the Manitoba Emergency Services College, who we commonly refer to as the Fire College. Government recently asked Assiniboine to get involved with this effort. We look forward to adding that to our roster this year as well. And while it's not 650, the interest list there is already over 200. And speaking of paramedics, public safety has long been one of the areas that Assiniboine has targeted for provincial leadership. In our most recent strategic plan, we suggested that a strategic partnership with the Fire College would make sense. I mean, we already share a parking lot, which is the most contentious thing in any higher education partnership. But the paramedic and emergency services responder illustrate why we should be working together. The college has long proposed a provincial Manitoba Public Safety Institute centered out of Brandon. If all the dentists, architects, and unfortunately physicians can be trained in Winnipeg, there's no reason why other occupations can't be led at other parts of the province, just like we train all the apprenticeship welders and agricultural technologists here in Brandon. We enjoy an excellent relationship with Manitoba First Nations Police, the fastest growing police service in the province. They hire many of the grads out of our regular program, and we're running 3 years of recruit classes for them in Southport. And for most of the last 2 decades, we've enjoyed a good relationship with the Brandon Police. Been a little rocky under their interim leadership, but we're looking forward to Chief Bates getting us back on track. We hope he'll restore the notion that Brandon should be home to the Manitoba Public Safety Institute and the primary place for police training in Brandon, in Manitoba. There's no reason why it can't be headquartered out of here and leverage the work of the Fire College and BU's emergency management program to create a more holistic approach to public safety in the province. More talent. For Canada to be competitive in 2026 and beyond, talent will be a major driver. 16 years ago, when I lived in Saskatchewan, I used to joke, we didn't have the lowest post-secondary participation rate in the country, but we could see it from there. That's right, for many years, fewer Manitobans went to university or college than anywhere else in the country. And a 2017 external review of the Manitoba system highlighted this as a major problem. And it was paired with 2 other problems. One, we had the second lowest percentage of college seats in our post-secondary mix in the country, and our post-secondary was highly concentrated in Winnipeg. 85% of the money goes to Winnipeg. To solve this problem as Manitoba grows, we need more college and more rural. That screams Assiniboine to me. But there are encouraging signs. In 2021, we passed Saskatchewan for participation rate among the total adult population. So now we can see the lowest participation rate from here. From 2014 to 2024, Manitoba saw the largest increase in post-secondary participation rate for 18 to 24-year-olds. And that was ahead of Saskatchewan, PEI, and New Brunswick. So we're gaining. And New Brunswick, we're coming for you. We're going to pass you soon. We also need to unleash more people into the workforce. And there's no policy solution in Canada that can do that, like more childcare spaces. Assiniboine was pleased a few years ago to be awarded more than half the new seats for early childhood education in the entire province. And in partnership with organizations like the YMCA, we developed a new model for training, which facilitates people entering the labor market quicker and allows them to earn and learn simultaneously. We're also thrilled to be building Manitoba's largest early learning center, 216 seats, right here on our North Hill campus. Although the base commander's got his eye on a bigger one, so we got to move fast to get that title. Work-integrated learning. Almost all Assiniboine students in the province in full-time programs participate in some form of work-integrated learning. A few years ago, Winnipeg Economic Development and Tourism tried to rope the province into centralizing all the administration and the work-integrated learning opportunities. We appreciate their enthusiasm, but their understanding of the field was brutally incomplete, and they were chock full of university bias. They could only imagine things in legacy work-integrated learning terms, like everything was in the 1980s and they were all in 4-month chunks, right? But there were more imaginative ways to do this, more tailored to the occupation and the students. For example, our entire power engineering program runs on a 3-day-a-week in class, 2-day-a-week in industry model. Our food processing program spends 11 of their 32 weeks doing paid practicums. That's more than a third of the program. Pre-employment students in carpentry, plumbing, and electrical build an actual home with the private sector, right, in addition to their other work placements. Our culinary students run the popular Great Grey Owl restaurant and other important events, while our Peter School has reintroduced legacy model of will in 4-month chunks because that fits their program. There are endless ways to do this. What's important is that students get the experience of live work, the skills they need to enter the job market, and that they accelerate the development in their occupations. Applied research. Research is an important part of the post-secondary environment, and the college was pleased this year to crack the list of the top 50 research colleges in the country for the first time. Our applied research is primarily in ag, and it ranges from leadership in soil health and climate science, to managing invasive species like wild boar, to alternative pesticide management, to the search for new ways to commercially grow and process sweet potatoes. And while our work is practical and tied to the real problems of sectors and companies, a key feature for us is that students are involved in the work. This experience can be helpful to their development and their own careers, as well as their future academic pursuits. Youth retention and population. Stemming the flow of outmigration is high on our priority list. One of Assiniboine's big goals is to add 3,000 people to the province's population by 2030. We are about train and retain, not about education and export. Our graduate follow-up surveys show that that's working. The most recent graduate follow-up survey showed that 96% of our graduates were still in Manitoba 9 months after graduation. Only 71% of those students originated from Manitoba. Just think about that for a moment. Now you might be thinking, Mark, 9 months, not a long time. In fact, I know one college that used to do it after 3 months. And part of the reason why they do them so quickly is they want to prove, hey, you get a job quickly from these programs. But I used to joke even myself, well, they haven't had time to pack the suitcase yet to move to Calgary, 3 months. So we also surveyed them 4 years out. And so when you look, we surveyed in 2025, the class of 2020, 91% are still in Manitoba, and only 74% of those originate in Manitoba. So very, very solid retention. This is something that we are extremely proud of. Okay, but what do countries really want to do at the Olympics? Win. That's right. And while we always want students to win at life and in the labor market following graduation, we also want them to have opportunities for that in their post-secondary experience. And they've won, and they've proven, and that's whether that's been on the ice, in the kitchen, on the shop floor, in the boardroom, or by demonstrating their capacity for creative thought. Like the student who just won gold at last year's Skills Canada in Digital Art and Design, and who was off to China to compete against the rest of the world at World Skills. It's just part of our vision of exceptional learning experiences. And back to the larger picture, right now, Canada needs to summon that will to win more than ever. Our Prime Minister laid it out in eloquent terms and in stark terms in Davos. Our economic safety and indeed our very sovereignty is threatened. Our longtime teammate, the United States, has decided that our interests are divisible. They no longer see us winning together, they see our wins as their losses. And as he said, nostalgia is not a strategy for managing that relationship. We need to summon our competitiveness, our patriotism, our will to win. This was originally tagged as elbows up. But in the Olympic context, for me, nobody sums up my feelings about the attitude and posture we need to take better than Shaughnevin's own Haley Wickenheiser.
Haley, have you ever seen any penalties? In my life, I've never seen anything like it.
It was absolutely atrocious, but you know what? The Americans had our flag on their floor in the dressing room, and now I want to know if they want us to sign it.
That thirst to win doesn't mean abandoning together. Quite the opposite. As the Prime Minister implored, we need to continue to develop relationships with the rest of the world. We need to continue to strengthen economic integration, continue the spread of human rights to every corner of the planet, and understand that we have only one planet and one environment that needs to sustain life for ourselves and other species on this earth. That's the spirit of the Olympic Games, bigger than sport. As a college, we know we have a role to play in this, and it reminds us of the mantra we talked about earlier. Think global, act local. So let's keep working together to build a stronger Brandon, a stronger Manitoba, a stronger Canada, and a stronger world. Thank you.